From the Oklahoma newsroom, this is an OSU update with Kyle Fredrickson. I'm Jenny Carlson. Kyle, let's talk quarterbacks. That always seems to be a hot topic with the Cowboys, but let's talk about quarterback recruits, as the Cowboys have gotten another one to at least verbally commit before the season, much before the season. This is kind of a trend for this team.
Yeah, for the past 3 years now, the Cowboys have gone into this recruiting cycle early on before these kids go into their senior year, these quarterbacks, and they've gotten these 3 guys to commit, going back to Mason Rudolph, John Kolar, and now Nick Starkel, who we'll kind of mention later here. But we're talking about 3 guys who bring kind of the NFL size, 6'3", 6'4", pocket passers who can scramble, but really just have big arms and can make all the throws. And it really shows you the type of quarterback the Cowboys are looking for. Because in the past, especially with all the turnover they've had at the position, Mike Gundy has remained pretty steadfast in the fact that he wants an NFL-style guy. That's the guy that he thinks can lead this team, lead this offense, and do all the things they can do. And obviously that goes back to Brandon Weeden after seeing how this offense can operate with him back there. I think it kind of opened up everyone's eyes to how this offense can be the most efficient. So I think a lot of that credit goes to Mike Yurcich. These are 3 quarterbacks that I discussed that he went in very early to identify, worked with them, and played a big part in their recruiting. So for as much flack that he might catch for play calling and game organization, things like that, you got to give the guy some credit for what he's done so far early in his career as a recruiter.
Well, and you mentioned too, to get these guys, Rudolph, for example, as he went through his senior year, he kept gaining stars and attention, but the Cowboys already had him locked up. Now, obviously, they had to fend off people coming late, but that was huge because he was already in their pocket. He liked them, they liked him, and it really helped him down the line.
Right, especially at the quarterback position when you can get those guys to commit early. And it's interesting you mentioned Rudolph not being a guy who was going to many camps, he was identified early. Well, the interesting thing about Nick Starkel, the next commit on the Cowboys list here, he's a guy who's really utilized these camps so far. He went to a Dallas camp recently this past month that was sponsored by Nike and came away as the quarterback MVP, gained a lot of rave reviews. So when he did commit to the Cowboys, there was a lot of national writers out there on Twitter saying, hey, this is a guy who's picked up a lot of steam, this is a great get for the Cowboys, but they were really in his back pocket before that process started. So it's clearly a big deal for Starkel as well. In an interview with Scout.com, he actually told a reporter that the fact that OSU was his first Power 5 offer meant a lot to him. There was a lot of smaller teams that had shown interest, but they were really the first big school to dive in.
Lastly, they keep getting quarterbacks, gaining quarterbacks, and I think a lot of people say, well, how can you keep them all happy? Because Mason Rudolph obviously is only going into season 2. He's clearly the guy for the foreseeable future, but injuries are always a problem. I guess you can never have too many quarterbacks. That's got to be part of OSU's thinking too.
Right, definitely. And think about where this position group is going to stand in a year or 2 from now. Obviously, with Mason Rudolph's quick rise and all the tools he has, he would seem to be the guy who has the opportunity to leave early for the NFL draft if he continues to impress. Obviously, it's super early in the conversation, but you want to have those guys, like you had mentioned. You have John Kolar coming in. Mason Rudolph, J.W. Walsh will be gone next season. Dax Garman transferred. So that pool starts to thin a little bit. You need to have some of these young guys you can develop into the program because, as you've said and as we've seen, to finish an entire season with just one quarterback playing is something that the Cowboys haven't had the luxury of having in a while now.
Third-team quarterback at OSU tends to be a position you see play every once in a while, crazy as that may be. Thanks, Kyle. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.